We are back. We've had a little camera problems, but I think we're on camera too. So hopefully this will we can get on with this project. And in the meantime, Jose's done a little housekeeping work. So we were when we last left, you were talking about the sleeve piping, although technically it's not a piping because it doesn't have any cord in it or rope. It did not originally, so that's why we decided to do it this way. So you have prepared all of the pieces.
Yes.
And that's how it looks.
You are going to need 14 inches by 1 inch, fold it in half, press, and then what you would do a top stitch at an 1/8 of an inch, 10 inches per 10 stitches per inch, and this is what it will look like, okay? And then what you do next, I'm going to trim it a little bit. Now, this being folded, that gives you 1/2 inch.
Right.
Okay, so
it's going to be actually a little less when it. So you're cutting off about 1/8 of an inch, huh?
yeah, I'm making it to be finished about 1/8 of an inch, a little,
okay.
Just slightly bigger, okay?
Now I'm gonna
So,
just warn you that of this whole project, this is the most fiddly part because we want the reveal to be very
and you are going to begin from the side seam. You are going to place the raw sides towards the raw side of the sleeve opening, like so. You are going to leave.
So this is the armhole of the sleeve.
1/2 inch past the side seam, okay?
Okay. This would be under the sleeve. So when the arm goes down, the sleeve goes down. This is where that hits, right?
Yeah. So you need 7 inches per each armhole, okay? So that gives you plenty of trim, I say.
Yeah, you'll have a little overlap.
Yeah.
And then you can fold, trim, or cut. This is a fabulous technique that can be used in lots and lots of doll costumings and historic costuming.
Okay, so you leave like 1/2 inch or 1/4 of an inch past the side seam. I'm not gonna pin this last end, and I'm gonna show you what to do. So what you do here now, you're gonna do it by hand. On the machine you could do it, but it's tricky and it'll give you a hard time because it's very, the space of the armhole is too narrow, okay? So you begin right at the side seam. And what you will do...
You were starting to show us.
Yes. Basting it. And what you will do is you will do the stitches below the machine stitching, okay?
Oh, you mean above the? You mean above this?
Below. This, I would, well, above or below. Not on it. On either side.
But it should be above it.
Okay, let's call it above it. The way it's looking here, that's the way you should be looking on yours too.
Okay.
Okay.
And this is the most fiddly part of this whole costume, in my opinion.
And why am I doing this like so? The basting on the side of the machine stitching is because you don't want the stitches, the machine stitches shown on the top.
Right, when it flips.
When it flips, that's why.
And this is going to be the same dimension for the smaller version too. So.
Okay, I'm getting close to the where I began basting, so I'm going to bring that up like so, and I'm going to overlap my end of this trim.
So it's a little form of a miter.
Yes.
Good idea. I would not have done it that way.
Okay, I knotted that out, and I'm going to clip the leftovers, okay? So what you would do, trim along the arm opening, like so.
Okay.
Okay,
Looks good.
should we proceed to attaching the
Sure,
sleeve?
sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
Do we have to check that or?
No, not at this point.
Not at this point,
Not
okay.
at this point, but I can show them.
Yeah, it's looking good. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I need to thread my needle. Give me 3 days and I'll be back.
I haven't gotten Jose yet he's afraid of my evil threading machine, which is fantastic. But the thing about the threading machine is once the needles have become elderly, it doesn't work. So you have to really use new needles. And he's emotionally attached to his needles, so he has to do it the old-fashioned way.
There's no way I can change that.
No, you can't change that.
Okay, so, okay, again, the side seam, okay? And I'm going to bring the seam of the sleeve to match the side seam, okay? I'm going to hold that in place. I'm going to flip this around. Okay, here we go. I got my the seam of the sleeve matching the side seam of the dress. Going to pin that.
So here we go again. All right. So let's carry on with these sleeves.
Okay, I have pinned the sleeve to the armhole. Okay, what I'm gonna do now, okay, I have my basting stitches down here. That's what I'm going to follow, okay? And
That we
again,
did earlier.
yes.
And all those extra stitches, they're not going to show in any way because this is also going to be, the armhole is also going to be bound with silk. Won't create any bulk, but it'll just have a very luxurious.
See, I'm making tiny stitches here because I'm attaching the sleeve to the armhole, okay? So,
Do a little tiny running stitch.
I'm using a size 11 straw needle, and it goes through very easily since we have the silk file, very sturdy.
Yeah, and you've got a nice sharp,
Yes.
sharp, isn't it?
Sharp, yes.
And you need sharp with the file. All right, we'll let you finish that, and we'll come back and see the results. While Jose's sewing the sleeves in, I thought I'd come up and see what Leo's doing. And Leo is working on the small version, but he has his own technique that he does for cutting out because he certainly knows how to do factory work. So he uses a pen and he marks out all the fabric before he cuts it. So And of course, we don't have to worry about the lines because everything is going to be bound with the silk. So he's doing this while we're doing the class. I just wanted you to see what he's up to. And there's a lot of pieces for this project. So you could certainly do this at home, but I would only do this if it was something that you're experienced at doing. So we're back. We've had a couple of interruptions today, but we're back and things are looking good. So let's see how the sleeves turned out. So we've got our inners, and you can see, oops, let me get the camera. This is a new camera from about 5 minutes ago, so I'm learning as I go. So we've got that. Okay, it looks good. Now let's see the outside. All right, that's looking really good. That looks really good. And I want to see your technique. That's perfect because it doesn't make bulk under the arms, does it?
Well, that's how they used to do it.
Yeah.
Overlapping the ends.
Yes.
So that's what you get.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
So remember that, people. And then let's see how they match up because that's where it gets really fussy. And so I think that's a very good. It's a very good matchup. And we may take. It looks like this side here. We may do just a tiny little stitch to kind of keep it forward in case it wants to bounce back.
Oh, well, it won't bounce back. It's
Yep.
it stays in place.
Yeah. Once it gets used to where it is.
Yeah.
All right, so we're doing good. So the next stage, we probably should
Okay.
find the neck opening, don't you think?
Yes, but before we do that, we need to adjust the back because we probably need to do a fold like a quarter of an inch, or I'm going to put it on the doll and I'm going to see how much do I need to fold on the back. Okay. And you would do the same on your doll.
Yeah, whatever size doll that you're going to work with, it's the same concept. Lillian's like, who's this strange man dressing me? Oh, no,
Darling, I've known you for 17 years. Don't you?
Yeah, you've dressed her a time or two. Okay, so now what we want to do with the back is we want it to
Be very tight.
very tight. We actually want the edge to edge just barely touch.
Okay.
So that when we lace it,
I'm probably going
so
to
there's no diagram on your pattern for this. This you have to do on your doll. And maybe we should do it without the stand on because that stand is a
Okay, let me
Yes.
take it off and I'll do it. And then we'll put it on her again. If you let me undress you, miss. Okay. You can just be quiet, you know.
No, I'm watching you. I'm watching you.
Okay, this is about, let's see, how much did I do on my doll? Half an inch, okay?
Okay. But this has to be adjusted. This may get adjusted 3 or 4 times before it's just right. So don't just go by, they said a half an inch, because you might have a doll that's, chubbier
Exactly.
or
Yeah.
skinnier, or because the fit is everything on this costume. I know I'm boring. We're boring Annabelle. Hear that? I think we might need a little
more.
loosen it up. I think the waist is good. It's maybe at the top that we need to give her a little more space.
You think so? By the time we do the tie, it's
The
a lace,
lacing, yeah.
the lacing.
Well, that looks pretty good.
I think that should be good.
Okay.
Yeah, and this doesn't matter how wide this is. See
Well,
how it
no,
opens
no,
on an A shape?
no,
The lacing will help you with that.
It's got to close up.
The whole thing.
That whole thing has to from top to bottom. So what do we think? Do we think that the bottom is okay?
Bottom is okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because it does have to lace from top to bottom. The problem with Lillian is she's gifted in the rear area. More than I thought. Not all dolls are gifted like that. Some of them are as flat as a pancake. Oh yes, she's now she's not speaking to me. Look at that look. That look is like, that. Now you've gone too far. She'll block me.
Now I'm gonna fix this a little bit. The interfacing kind of bulks there a little bit, and I'm just going to make it a little flatter. Okay.
And this is a really important part of this, the fit. So you really need to take your time, and then not quite yet, but eventually we're going to do.
See how nicely laced, very
Yeah.
flat.
We're going to be doing a top stitching right on the very edge, and then we're going to do the buttonhole lace up.
Okay, I'm gonna proceed now with stitching this. Okay, and both sides.
And then we'll try it on again before we do the drastic things. And then when you go into the other side, you're gonna just catch the lining, correct?
What side? The other side?
No, this right here.
Yes.
Yeah, you're just gonna catch the lining, right? That's how I.
Yeah, I'm catching the lining all around.
Now there was no boning in the original dress, because by the time you do all these seams and have them bound and fold over and whatnot, you basically have a kind of a soft boning already in the dress. But there are some miniature dresses that do have boning in them. This dress has drapery weight, dress weights in it, but you don't usually see that in a doll costume. So we're going to let him sew this, and we will come back with you shortly. So we have the sleeves in. They are looking excellent. Now we're going to have a little peek at what we did with the backs. And we don't have it, this is a roughed in lacing. It's obviously not the way it's going to be in the end, but we do it, at this point we have to test it. And I think it's fitting perfectly, don't you?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, we haven't pulled it to the tight that it's going to be, but I think it's really, really good. And again, people, this is something that there's no fold on your pattern piece. You have to fit it to your doll, just like you would if you were going to Paris and buying a couture dress. And it is very important that all the way down to the bottom piece, this has to match up, because right here is where we're going to start. This is where the soft bustle would go. So we're not going to do that yet because we're going to work on the trims on the top. But first we have to bind the neckline. So we're going to do that next. All right. So we'll get her undone and we'll be right back. So we're back and we are now going to bind the neckline. So what it basically really just is we're going to take the same silk that we use for the seam binding, and we're just going to bind the neckline. And this is really, we don't, it's not like you have to do it, but it's a very good idea. It does not, if you turn it over, you're going to make this way too bulky. And this is basically for the finish work from the inside. And then we're going to ultimately put trim on top of that. So it's best to do it this technique. So
okay.
We're gonna do that?
Yes. Okay, since we have square neckline here, attaching the binding tape, it's going to be a little hard, especially here at the corners. Okay, so I'm going to do by steps. Okay, this will be step 1, step 2, step 3, 4, 5.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to begin from the inside to the outside.
Okay. Okay, so you're just going to do little clips. You're not going to do...
I'm not going to do clips on the, no.
I mean,
I'll show you the next step.
Little sections.
By sections. It's 5 sections what we have here, so. Okay, I'm gonna clip this about 1/4 of an inch. I'm going to fold 1/4 of an inch
And fold it over.
and fold it over nicely. I know it's very tiny. Okay, it's kind of hanging out a little bit, but all right, that need a problem. I didn't expect that bad. This is what I'll do.
We can fix it.
Just the tiny stitches there. It's gonna get covered with the trimming, so.
Yeah, don't overstress this part of the costume.
It's a very tiny space here, so.
So we'll go ahead and do this, and we will come back and we will show you the results. So we're back. We've got the neck all completed, and you know it's very difficult to do this because you know we're not doing the it's not on the bias, but it's just basically to cover our neckline, and we're good to go. So now we're going to go and do the fun part. So we've got a little cutting work to do, which we won't keep you for that, but we'll be back in just a second. We'll be back. It'll be just like on TV. We'll be back.
Yeah, more commercials.
I wanted to make this clear. I don't think we did in the last little segment that what Jose did with the neckline pieces, he did it in sections. So it's not just one piece. It's several, 5 separate pieces, and then there's foldovers. And that's really the only way you can do this kind of with a square neckline using ribbon to bind it. So I just wanted to clarify that. So when you went to do it, you're not gonna get the nice results. You can see here's the little foldovers right there. All right, so we'll be back. So we're back, and now we're at the fun part. Kind of fun. So we're going to do next, create the neck trim and the sleeve trim. So I created my version when I was doing the mock-up of the trim, and Jose looked at it and he said, it's very nice, but it's way, way, way too complicated. Let me show you how to do this. So he showed me how to do it, and his technique was much, much easier. So explain to them what they're going to be doing.
I only said it would be easier. Okay, so okay, we have a stripe of the
Strip.
I'm sorry, a strip. Excuse my.
They'll be looking for a stripe.
My Freudian. A strip of the pink fabric, which is 26 inches by 1 3/4 wide. Okay.
So 26
by
1 3/4 wide. So you'll have to do this in order to make this trim.
Yes. Okay, and the next trim that's gonna go on top of it, it's an inch wide by 26 inches again. That gets folded in half, and then it gets trimmed to the size of almost like a 1/4 of an inch less, 1 notch, like
16th.
an eighth, a 16th. Okay.
Yeah, it's about 1/8. It's 1/8.
Okay.
Put that,
so
that's 1/8.
When you fold it, that gives you half an inch, but when you trim it, that gives you less an eighth.
Just
Is that correct?
a little
less. Okay, and you just go ahead and pin it.
And you're going to pin it, and now you're going to sew it.
I'm gonna sew it 1/8 of an inch.
So it's folded over. You are now sewing raw edge to raw edge.
Yes. Basically, what I'm doing here, see the foot of the.
Let me go around. Let me go around if I can get past Annabelle. I'm sorry. And you've done this on the bias.
This is all on a bias. You have to do that, otherwise it's not going to work. Okay, here we have the foot of the machine, and it's basically right to the edge
Right to
of
the
the,
edge.
basically, okay?
So if you are buying the grouping of fabrics that we're getting together for you for this, you will receive this already pre-cut. If you're doing it on your own, you have to follow the statistics that we just gave you.
Okay, we have there. Okay, so next step, we're gonna go to the iron.
Okay, now we're going to get to the fun part. Start seeing things happening. Oops.
Okay, we have it sewn like that. So,
Hold on, just let me get this. This is a new device I'm working with, so I'm learning as I go. Okay, so we folded it over, and there's the fabulous little bit. And I'm sure you learned this just by taking apart all of the destroyed gowns that we've had through the years that have had these kinds of trims on it. And don't you think you can really learn a lot just by deconstructing?
yeah, I have learned a lot, absolutely. And studying the pieces and,
And this they would do in they would do miles of this.
okay. So, after you've done that, then
I'm gonna fold it one more time.
I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna fold this. Hang on a minute. Okay. See how it's folded? Don't go all the way to side, okay? Just
Yeah, leave a
slightly,
little
like
gap.
an eighth, leave like an eighth, okay?
Now for this is a bulky trim, and it appears on the original as a bulky trim. So and it really is the embellishment of the whole ensemble. We might need to miss this a little bit
Yes.
because we're fighting. It's that fabric's fighting back with you. Of course, we're going to whip stitch it down, I would imagine, just to.
No.
No.
Nope.
See, I would just make it.
Well,
so
I'm
much-
sorry. Yes, yes, that's stitch it down, but I'm gonna show you. Okay, I'm gonna press it a little, just a little harder on it. I just wanted to get the,
Crease.
yes. Okay, so we have this.
And one more.
And by doing that, that's what you
But
create.
yeah, we have to have a little. We need a little a little thin edge at one. So you basically have the center, and that's what we want. That little edge.
Okay.
So I mean, if anyone out there, if you're feeling this is hard to do, then take a couple of pieces of cotton, 2 colors, and just practice. But once you get this, this is a great trim. It's looking
And that's
really
what
good.
it's supposed to look
All
like.
right, we'll get
Okay.
that. We'll get it all pressed up, and we'll be back. So we're back, and we have the trim is created. It's looking really, really nice. I want to show you the back side. So what you do is you go into that little bit of a ditch right here, and you put your little flea bite stitches through, and they go through the other side, and then they come back up again in that channel. And this is how you make this trim. This was very popular in the 1860s, 70s, and even a little bit into the 1880s. But you can see that the cutting it on the bias makes it decorative in itself, that nice little stripe. Although it's not that apparent when you're, I'm sorry, this is a new camera, so it's doing funny things. But it's not that apparent when you're, when it's on the garment. It'll just disappear. And so that's really all that's done there. And we just have a little bit left to do, but I think that this pretty well explains that. Now we're going to put this aside because we want to keep this nice, but we wanted to get this little, fussy bit done before we go on. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go on to the back treatments. We've got all the seams are now bound, and we just have to do a little hem up the interfacing, get that ready. And we're going to leave everything in the inners at this point that needs to be done, which is really of the front piece is just the arm binding. But we're going to do that last because we want to, we're going to be taking the costume on and off a few more times. So we're good, and then we're going to move on to the next stage. So we've got all of our seams are looking very nice. So now we're going to just overcast the interfacing. We're just going to use an overcasting stitch. And again, if you don't feel that you're the greatest sewer at this, don't worry about it, because there's going to be a ruffle that's going to go right over this. So we're going to just go around this a few bits. We're actually using antique thread because there's such a shortage of thread these days that we're getting all of our goodies. Our goodies are getting used up. Today I had a thread company that we placed an order for threads, and they called to tell me everything that they didn't have. And I said, do you have any of our order? And the lady said, no.
Not really.
Not really. Yeah, she said, not really. Like, oh, that's such great news. We have a good friend of ours that manufactures thread, but if we buy it from her, we have to buy it by the ton. So you can just see that Jose's doing nice little tiny stitches and doing them perfectly and fast. You just do it automatically. I have to think about each little stitch. Did I get it right? And if the table moves, that's Bixby coming in. So we'll be back. And I will tell you that we waited too long to do the binding of the seams. We should have done that earlier, but we got carried away with what other things we wanted to do, but it's better if you do it earlier. Okay, well, we'll be back. So we're back. We've cut out our pieces. Because of the size of this project, you're going to have to assemble many of your pattern pieces because they simply will not fit into a printer. So here we are, and it's very easy. Like for instance, in this piece, which is the back, and you put C to C. So this is the back bustle piece. And then here is the back bottom inset blue interfacing. So if you looked at both of these pieces without putting them together, they really wouldn't fit anywhere. But once you put them together, and we put these two pieces together, and I did the cutout, and then I left this because I know Jose has his way if he likes to do it, so I'm not going to argue with him about it. So I just left that way. So we're using blue tape so you can see it. And so those two pieces are there. It's put on the fold. That goes at the top as an interfacing. And then we have you want to show them the blue that goes on the bottom. And that goes right there. And of course, we're going to cut that white paper out. And
this other piece
and
right
this
here.
other piece, which
it's on a fold.
it's on a fold, so that will be its top
Like so.
piece.
Okay.
So there we go. So we're going to cut this out, and we will be back. So we're back. We have cut out all our pieces. We're now, Lillian is looking pretty good. And I'm going to turn this up. Sorry. And just pinned on, but she's looking very nice. Good fit. So we're going to now start working on the bustle back, the soft bustle top and the bustle back. And we'll start with the top. Excuse me. So if you notice these pattern pieces, ignore these pieces of what it says on them. Don't try to read it because you'll be using a more up-to-date pattern than this. So we've cut our lining material and our primary material out. So we're ready to do our first thing, which we're going to sew what would be the bottom down first, and then we're going to do a flip, correct?
I'm gonna do encasing. I'm gonna sew like this,
All the way around?
like this,
And leave the
and then
top.
leave the top open. Okay.
Okay. Which is going to make a very nice clean inner, and it's also going to give this is what's going to hold the whole back of the skirt. So we probably should just press that out before we do it, because we're not going to really be able to do it once we start. It's not easy for us to get around because this is like a bulldog lounge in here.
It's lounging over here, right on. Okay, yeah.
So we're going to do our 10 stitches per inch.
Maybe a couple more stitches, maybe just one there.
Just to get it just tied down really good. And we could use our motor in this machine
in massage.
So,
Going to clip the corners.
clip the corners. Although this is not going to even be seen, but it just
It'll
makes
give
it
you a
easier.
smoother.
Square.
Yes, by doing that.
Here's our little pointer, your pointer.
Okay.
Jose's going to press that out just so it's nice. And I'm going to just sit here and I'm going to just look at, show you other things, because if I get up and move and he moves, the whole Bulldog crew will move. And they're all in nice nappy time.
Just gonna go ahead and pin this because this silk file is very sturdy and it's kind of hard to work with it.
It's hard to press it sometimes, but I think it's easy to work with. It's just tough. It's looking good.
Okay, let me go ahead and press
He's going
this.
to go ahead and press it. I'll show you some. I'll just let you look at other things while he's doing that, so we don't get bored. What's happening? There's a new stock of the dressmaker's chart, practical instruction and needlework method. That's coming in the boutique. This is a ironing away. That was good. Nobody got up and moved.
Okay, we have this
Looks very
nicely
good.
pressed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yep.
I'm gonna go ahead and do a running stitch. At an eighth.
Yeah, basting stitch.
Basting stitch. It can be on the 7 stitches per inch.
Okay.
It's not gonna show.
So this is really, at this point, we're just doing this to give the garment a little more strength, and it also makes it interesting turn when we put the interfacing on it.
Okay, we got that. I'm gonna trim it a little bit. Okay, we're going to do the interfacing right here at the top. And we have the pale pink
Satin.
satin. Yes. Okay,
This is cut on the straight, it's not on the bias.
right side on right side, okay? as you can see, you have like an eighth of an inch extra on each side. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and pin that. Okay, they have. Okay, that an eighth of an inch that we have extra here, it gets folded.
It was folded over and sew it into the seam. And then when we flip it, it's already
Nicely folded for you.
Yeah.
And same on the other side. Okay. And again, an eighth of an inch. You can do 7, number 7.
every machine has a different. So these are bigger stitches.
Yes.
This is not having anything to do with structure. This is going on a decorative feature.
Okay. Okay, we have an eighth of an inch seam. I'm gonna clip my threads here. I'm going to bring this like so, and I'm gonna go ahead and press it. Okay.
Press it, and then we're gonna turn over the raw edge, just about another eighth of an inch. Annabelle's been so exhausted today and fussy. She's finally found a place to sleep.
Okay, so I press this up, and then I press the side an eighth of an inch too. Okay, so
Now we're gonna flip it.
flip it.
Flip it, people.
Okay, first of all, we want to see an eighth of an inch. What would you call this, Michael?
Just a reveal.
Okay. And I'm gonna pin it like so. Okay.
It's like a big pipe. Really, it's like a big piping, except there's no pipe to it.
Okay, that'll be easier for us to work on the back. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and fold this down, and I'm gonna go ahead and pin it again.
And then we're going to sew that down with it.
This gets sewn by hand.
And we're going to sew it by hand. And we're just going to go in and pick up the lining material, going all the way through. So we'll do that, and we will be back. So we are back. We've done the soft bustle top, and now we are doing, which is completely done. Jose has done a lovely job with finishing that up. So now we're going to do the lower half. So we, as you would see on your pattern pieces, this piece is on the fold. So we've already got the material cut out, main material and the lining material. And now we're just going to pin it. And this is quite a sewing job, this one. This is, I think, probably the biggest piece of fabric in your kit.
Okay, maybe I don't need to pin this right now, sorry. I'm just gonna go ahead and encase the two sides.
Okay,
Okay,
that's a good
so-
idea. Let's
Okay,
do it.
there's a little trick to that. I'm gonna cut just a tiny bit on this side.
Are you saying that my cutting isn't
No,
very good?
no. Your cutting is good. This is just a trick too. When you flip things around, the lower interfacing is not showing on the right side. Does it make
Okay.
sense?
Yes.
And I'm gonna do the same on the other side. And it can be a little thicker.
That's a little sliver that you just took off.
Yeah.
Now they can do that or not do that, but this is a good technique you're doing. This does have to look nice on the side because it does
To kind of show.
It does show as a separate overpiece.
See? We are kind of short.
Yeah.
It's okay, that's what you want. So just bring it together. The raw
Edge to edge.
edge to edge. Yes. That's okay.
And we're going to do this on a 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. Yes.
Yes. Or actually, I don't think it would matter, but I'm gonna do an eighth, okay?
Okay. But no smaller than that. You can do a 1/4 of an inch, whatever, but you do have a decorative point at the end, so maybe just stick to an eighth.
Okay. I'm gonna trim this a little bit. And it seems like this one is okay. I'm just gonna trim a little bit over here. Now flip this out. So that's what you want on the other side too.
Looks
Okay.
lovely.
So I'm going to do this. You don't really want the inner facing showing on the top of the fabric. Okay.
No,
So
the lining.
that's why I did that little trick to cut off a little bit of
Okay, that looks
Looks
good. Mhm.
See? Okay. Okay, now I'm going to pin this.
This is some of the most sewing in this whole ensemble. Let's do this back piece. But we have one more piece to add to it. Which is this ditty. Looks good. Pinned all
Okay.
nice. Mhm. So we have a lot of. This is the time you should really take your time with this. I mean, don't go by a kung fu sewer here, because you should take your time on this part because you've got a lot of slippery materials that are all. Do you think we should press that
Oh,
first?
absolutely. Press it out and then fold 1/8 of an inch here at the top. And that's what I'm gonna.
Okay,
I'm
we're gonna go
do.
do that. Let me show you the little fan pocket on this side. It's really nice. Close look at that before we come back and do the. So this is basically what we're doing right now is we're creating these pieces. These three lower box pleats that come out beautifully. All right, so we've gotten that, got that nice pressing line in it. So we'll get this all pinned.
Have extra there.
So we just fold that over. Nice little fold over. And this fabric, it's beautiful on the back side, but you remember to put your front to front.
Yes, front to front. Sorry, I forgot to explain that.
Because this is going to get sewn down and then it's going to do a flip. And the nice thing with Jose's technique that he did on the side, then it's basically just the hand sewing to the top of the interfacing, and then it's ready. All right, well, we'll sew that down and we will come back. So we almost have the interfacing all sewn down. Takes some time. Those are a lot of crenellated areas. And then we get the joy of trimming. We have to trim all this. Do all the snips and trims. You know, with your machines, you gotta just find your rhythm, what works. You notice that Jose uses quite a bit of this machine. He'll work with it by hand, using his hand to turn it. This just gives you a little extra cotton.
Yeah. Well, you have to do that. You don't want to go past what you need to.
That's right.
To do. So just that's the slowest you can do by hand. You know?
Gotta catch that again. I'll just be ready. See? I think what we could do is suggest to people when they watch you sew that they put their devices on slow motion. Okay, so we've got that all sewn up. Now we're going to start to do the clipping. You notice he just takes the little tips of the points right off.
Just the points, okay? Not
any more than that. Gets rid of the bulk, and your piece will still have a good sharp point. This decoration is actually very similar to a lot of decorations you see on 1820s and 1830s garments. They'll also, that was when really piping started to be used in dress decoration besides just buttonholes for men. So that's really good.
okay.
Now he's going to do little snips. But if he overgoes the mark, then we have to go in and sew it again. So be careful. Okay.
Okay.
We're doing little cuts and trimming the sides. These are thick fabrics, so you really do have to trim them nicely so that you get rid of any of that extra bulk. Okay.
Okay, one more.
So we'll get this all trimmed and then we will be back when we restart the turnout. We're about to turn the interfacing, but Jose just realized that he didn't clip his corners of his squares, which you have to do that just like the points. So we're back doing that. This is what keeps vacuum cleaning in business. So we're going to start to turn it in. And we're going to be very gentle, not too, and just ease it out.
Okay, hang on, Michael. I think I'm gonna have to do some top stitching here.
Uh-oh, did we cut too far in?
Yeah, I think so.
Uh-oh. So if you did what, we don't cry over it, we just go in and fix it. It's never gonna be seen by anybody, no. I'm gonna just take $4 out of your pay for that.
Oh my God. I'll go home with nothing.
So we fixed that. No problem. And we can just start turning that out. At first you use your fingers, and then when you get it kind of all roughed out, then you can start using your pointers or whatever works for you.
One more here.
There's one more. Uh-oh, $8 you're up to. Well, we'll fix this and we will be back with you. So we're back. We've turned out all of the hem. It's looking really, really good. Now all we have to do, can you show them the other side? How it looks very nice. And of course those points, those are going to get flipped upside in the design, and the center point is going to get flipped up also. So now what we have to do before we get to the assembly of the back, we're going to close off the top, because then we have to put an interfacing on that too. So we might as well close that up now. Just doing 1/8 of an inch. And we'll do a little trim. It's always a good idea.
I'm just gonna go ahead and add the interfacing, and then we'll do the little trim, okay?
Okay. Because it's basically a little flip, isn't it? Yep.
Okay, right side to right side.
So we're going to finish what the public is going to see. So there we go. This is a very complicated design and not easy to figure it all out, because when you're trying to follow a historic design, you really want to do what they did, and that is not easy. It would sometimes it would just be easier to do our own creation. Don't you agree?
Yeah.
When you're really following, and probably whoever did this originally, it was really easy for them because it was their creation. I know there's some people on the internet that have thought this was just a simple little dress, and this is not simple. This is not It may have simplistic lines, but it is not a simple little dress. So that's looking really good.
Okay. I think I'm just gonna.
Do the fold. So we will be doing that.
Okay.
Okay, let's sew this.
I'm just gonna follow my oops.
It's kind of like the bread in I Love Lucy. It just keeps coming. Okay. We should have ironed that edge, but we can do it freehand. So you at home, please iron that one edge. 'Cause it just makes it easier to sew it. We've lengthened this dress in the front and modified it from its original intent. And, that could cause the back to be shorter, but it's really only going to be shorter by ½ an inch. So it's not worth the effort to add on to the back. And of course, we may not have had to do that at all because I finally found a stand that doesn't make Lillian get bunched up.
I'm gonna press this
We need to
up
press
this
that,
way.
and then we'll press that. Now we can press that
Yep.
seam. Okay,
Absolutely.
let's do
Yep.
that. Well, I don't know if this camera's, but just because we've moved, Annabelle has to be. What's going on? Where are they going? As I said yesterday, she was took a nap under an aloe vera bush, and she got the sap on her head. I'm sorry, I'm supposed to teach them sewing, not looking at bulldogs. So we're going to just do a little hem. Very looks like a little 1/8 of an inch or a little less. This is not going to really. Don't stress yourself about 1/8 of an inch or a little, because we really only need a little bit of this showing.
Okay. So
Okay.
we have it like so. I'm just gonna go ahead and fold this over. and I'm gonna pin it so
And
that,
this fold here is very important because this is your reveal. This is your decorative color. I'll just give you an example of what it should look. It's going to look like ultimately. So you want a good 1/8 of an inch of that color showing. And people, please try to contain yourself. You don't need to put any more trim on this. It's just, this is a very expensive material, beautiful material. It doesn't need anything. Just, you know, just the colors are enough. I mean, I like embellishment and all that too, but sometimes you just want the simple.
okay, I have to pin that like so.
And then we'll pin all this. And then we're going to stitch all of this down. So we've got quite a bit of hand sewing here to do. So even though you're doing a lot of this by machine, there's still lots to be done by hand. So we'll get this done and then we will come back. Well, we're back and we've gotten all of our items ready. We've got our regular camera back repaired after it died, so we're happy about that. And Jose, you look so much better with this camera.
Oh, thank you. Buy a dozen, which, yeah.
But the bad news is they don't make this anymore. So we're back and we got a good night's sleep. And as soon as I had to just learn the other camera, now I'm on to this, back to what I know. So we've got both of our back pieces prepared. Would you turn them over so that they can see what we've done? So this is how the inner of your pieces should look. And you know, it's so gorgeous that you could wear it on, really wear it on the outside. But we're not. This is high fashion, so we've got to do what we've got to do. So the next stage is we're going to do the connection to get this look. This is what we have to do. So we're going to connect, and I'm sorry about that noise. You know, this is a real live working place, so there's comings and goings all the time. So, and then suddenly Bixby needs to have movement. All right, so we're gonna connect the two pieces together.
Yes, I center the bottom of the top of the frame. Okay, so by folding it in half, you'll get your center. Okay.
And by the way, this is not in your pattern. You have to follow this to get this concept of what we're doing.
I'm going to fold this in half again, and I'm going to mark my center.
Okay. Easy to do.
Not the pin. Doesn't want to go in.
Yeah, we're having problems with pins here because, no, we're having a shortage of pins. We can't get any. So those of you out there that have an abundance of pins and you no longer use them, send them to us. So we'll give them a good home.
We're going to make a pleat here about, let's see, half an inch. It's a fold, okay? Half an inch
Yeah,
fold.
like a box pleat.
Remove that pin and use it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm going to do the other side. Of course, I shouldn't have removed my my center mark there, and do the same, another half an inch, and that will give you approximately 1 1/4 inch, 1.5 inches
Yep.
fold pleat. Okay.
And there's no wrong way to do this. This is the genesis. And see, that's what we want to see, is that beautiful reveal of the pleat.
Okay. I'm going to proceed with another fold, the same, half an inch fold. You can eyeball it, you can measure it, you can use a metal roller to get the exact measurement, but I'm just doing it as I go. And another 1/2 inch. I'm going to do the same on this side. This is the center, this one side on one side, okay?
Now we're pinning these down, but they're going to be actually loosey and flip up so that it makes that kind of elegant cascade. Now,
Okay,
the question is it going to fit
No,
our space?
no, because
So we-
this one is wider, so I
So we
have to correct.
Yeah, we have to correct it. We'll loosen out the side ones. Hey, why don't we pin it to each side and then do it?
Okay,
That would be.
let me just center.
I mean, some of these things, people, it's not, we do know what we're doing here, but some of these things we don't teach it. We just do it.
Okay, maybe what we need to do is,
Make your center a little less, huh?
the center can stay the same measurements, but we can make the other two on the side a little smaller.
Small.
Yeah. By that, you don't need to fold in 1/2 inch. It will be less than 1/2 inch.
Yeah, we
Okay.
just want that. Yeah, exactly. And then when we pin it to the side, we can just adjust it.
Okay. How's that looking?
It's looking
I think
good.
it's looking good. Okay, let me just make the other one. Okay, they're looking good, but I'm gonna measure now, and
It's almost there.
it's almost there. Maybe a little, loosen up a little. I'm
Maybe
going to.
loosen it from the center, yeah. Just a tiny smidge.
Okay,
I think that just
We got
did
it.
So the thing here, people, is that you just have to ease this in. There's no pattern directions for this. You've just got to ease it in. So the next thing we're going to do is pin it in place.
I'm gonna sew it on the back. I'm gonna make sure the splits, excuse me, they stay in place. And I'm gonna do a few stitches.
I mean, this is to be exuberant and fluffy. So we're just going to do a few stitches just to keep it. Now, I know that a lot of these precious fabrics, like the satins, the files, people want to press them. And in real clothes of the time, these box pleats would never be pressed down. They would have been left fluffy. A lot of the original Curie gowns in our collection and our Worth gowns in our collection, a lot of them have never been pressed. Yeah, so you can.
I'm gonna stick my needle
through.
through
you're going
at the
right
bottom
at the edge.
and right at the interfacing.
Yeah. So don't think you have to press these pleats in, because then they're not going to have the right look. Now, if you want them to have the look that it's been in a trunk for 100 years, then feel free to do that. But that's not what we're doing here today.
I'm doing a couple of stitches here to secure the pleat in place. Then I go in the back and I secure the back
I'm going the opposite way.
the opposite way.
So this is not coming out.
No, this is on the back. You want to make sure the pleats stay in place on the back and on the front. Okay, see? You don't need to break the thread. Just
keep going.
Keep going. Yeah. Okay, I'll do the same with this next fold here. Okay.
Nice. Well, we'll continue this, and then we will come back and show you the next step. Okay, so we've gotten all of the box pleats beautifully sewn down. Now we're going to do the next. Oh, I guess we got to do
I
one.
missed one.
You missed one.
Yeah.
You owe me $2 for that.
Jeez.
So, okay, so now they're all sewn down beautifully, and they've got a look at the shadow of just a lovely, lovely reveal. So now here's the inners, and this is exactly how we want it to look. So next step.
Next step. Okay, we have the right side of the top of the train, and I have my center marked there, and this is going to be my center. Okay, so I'm going to pin this in place along the pink trim on the back, or the pink inner facing.
Pink, but kind of coral, but it's easier to say pink than coral, but it's kind of a coral. Now you'd think that this could be done with just one swoop of fabric, but it can't, because then you don't get all of these different layers and weights. And we're doing this exactly the way that they did on the original dress.
Okay.
The mail came. There's Bixby after the mailman.
There.
All right.
Okay. Now we proceed to do the stitching.
We're going to stitch this down. So we're just going to do a nice little overcast stitch the two pieces together. So we'll do this, and then I'll let Jose let you see a few stitches.
A few stitches at the beginning. Okay.
Yeah.
That will make it.
Yeah, and then.
And then you can make kind of big stitches.
Yeah, bold. Yes.
Just grabbing the coral fabric.
Yes, but not going through.
Not going through. You don't want those stitches showing on the front.
No, we do not. We'd have to take it all apart and redo it. So we'll do that, and we will come back and we will show you the next step. We're back, and we have gotten that all sewn down. Shall we give them a little looky peeky at what we did on the back? So it's beautifully put together, and it will be very strong, and it has exactly the right look that we want. So the next stage is we're going to do the top, and I think for that we need we need Miss Lillian Del Monte, and maybe we should have her off the stand, because
that's good for now.
Is it good?
Yeah,
okay.
All right.
So we're going to get that up. So you can see we've roughed in the lacing. Of course, we're going to do that properly, but that's just for the fitting part now. So we've got to pin it in place. Now the thing about this is about at the end of this piece here, that's where the ruffle that's going to be revealed starts. And it's starting at about, let's see, on the original, about an inch. So the ruffle is going to go, the box pleat ruffle is going to go out up about an inch.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are we in agreement?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what we're going to do. So this is the part of real couture where you're fitting it to the client. And so Lillian's waiting for us to do that.
Okay. I mark my center here. Again, fold that in half, mark it with a pen, and that's your half, your center. I'm sorry. And we are going to do exactly the same as we did at the bottom here. We're going to make a 1/2 inch pleat.
And this is going to ultimately create our soft bustle. And a soft bustle is a bustle that could be, she could wear this at the evening and go to a ball, and then she could also actually sit in a chair. She doesn't have a whole apparatus behind her. And Lillian barely needs a bustle pad anyways.
Okay, there's
our center.
There's one center. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to just continue on to this side.
Because we have to bring this in quite a bit, because this has to, if you can turn her around.
It has to be this wide.
It has to be that wide, and that is not that wide. Let's give you let's give them the exact measurements of that. 2 inches.
2 inches.
With a, so probably 2.5 inches or 2.25 inches, because the opening is finished, so there's no. So in this case, we could almost do that work to the measuring tape.
It's going to be a little wider. Let me just paint this and we'll see if we like that.
Yeah, we may have to take some bigger pleats to get all that in there. I mean, I like that. How's it fitting? I mean,
This is not 2 inches wide, by the way. It's a little bigger, but
bigger. We can go beyond.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's see if we like it, though. I like it.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to say we'll use that. So here's the thing. It should be at least 2.5 inches. But if it's a little bigger and you think it's looking great, go with that.
We have about 3.5 here.
So. Oh, well, we need to make it a little smaller.
Okay.
Because it's going to that will.
Okay. Don't get rid of the first one you already made.
Yeah.
Okay. So what you do here, just make the pleats a little
bigger. Because they're going to be pulled open to reveal that beautiful color. This is a very artistic dress, so you can take liberties with it. You can make it what you want it to be. And that's what couture is. Each dress is an individual item. It's not a mass-produced thing. No, I think that's looking good. What's the measurement before we?
Okay. The measurement on this one, probably 3 inches. Probably. Yeah.
3 inches. Okay.
A little less than 3 inches.
Okay, I'll accept that.
Okay.
All right, so the next thing we have to sew those in place, don't we?
Yes.
So we're going to sew them in place using the same technique that you used with.
Sorry, interrupt you. I'm gonna start on the back, okay?
Yeah. Because this is a little tighter, then we have to pull it in. So basically, Jose's going into the tips of the pleats, and he's just sewing them, and eventually he'll tie them off, and then he will go up through the other side and come back and tie through the front side and get to the edge of the pleat, and then he'll take a stitch or two and then come back in the back and tie them off. So we'll get this done, and then we will come back for the next step. So we're back. We've got the piece looking beautiful. I think that looks really wonderful. So next thing we're going to do, and let's show them the inside so they can see how it should look on the inside. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to attach the train.
And of course, the center pleat should be your center.
Hold on, let me get this. So that's going to be in the center, as low as we can do, maybe about a 1/4 inch from the edge.
We have an inch finish here on the back, and that should line up with the bottom of the yeah, like so, and that's.
Now the thing about this, I should tell you right now that half of that is how she gets into the dress. So that has to be there is going to be an opening to that piece. But for now, we're going to pin it, and
Okay.
And now we have to line that up. And so we're lining it up.
Literally, it's kind of hard to pin it. Okay,
You
maybe.
might, yeah. Do it.
I'm gonna face you down, lady. Okay. Okay. See this point here? I'm gonna hide that. Okay.
Yeah, that little side point gets tucked in.
Yeah.
But just right at the edge of that point.
I'm going to make a mark right here because I'm going to stitch it from the inside of the dress, and that's going to be my mark. I'm going to sew all the way down there from here to here. I'll show you in a minute.
Now, by the way, in French clothing, it doesn't matter which side. There's no male-female side opening. So if you're right-handed, you can make it right. Left, you can make it left. Whatever you like. And we have a very spoiled bulldog that's not happy. But I think this side will be the side that we have our opening. There's a little background noise. They're dragging in all these luscious trims. Hey, Eddie, come back here for a second. Just put this right in front of the camera. So here's some luscious trims. Oh, and these are the new ones. I mean, turn it around again. This one right here is my particular favorite.
Well, I'm not putting that one up.
You're not? No. Well, don't. That's okay. That's okay.
I don't know what. I mean, we only have a couple hours, and you're delaying it.
Okay.
So
Okay. All right. The good news for all of you out there watching this that you. Oh, okay. So can you show the side view? That's looking really nice. Now, when we get down, we're going to sew that down, and this there's a little technique we're going to do to this edge here. But we'll sew this down first, and so now I think it's time that we clip the threads that, yeah, so we can get so she can get out of this. Just use regular old thread to just rough it in. You know, Lillian, this doll, she's a prima donna. She's used to walking on stage with her dress, you know, practically made 5 minutes before she goes on stage. So this is no big deal. And you can see we got all of the seams are all bound, so they're all looking really nice. We just have the armholes to do, but we're not going to do those till towards the end. Because that is the roughest area for the costume.
Okay.
Now you pin this really, really good, and now you're going to go and sew it from the inside, correct?
Yes, I have this mark right here because that's I'm not gonna pass that for now.
For
Okay.
now, okay.
So flip this.
And you can see it's really, really easy. We're gonna attach the front to the lining, and then catch a few, like up at the top where he's working now. We're going to catch some of those pleats into it. One side is really going to take the bulk of the weight because the other side is going to be hooked in place.
Okay, I made about four stitches first in first place.
To hold
And
the
just
top.
yes, you want that nice and tight, and then just nice whip stitches here.
You're doing nice whip stitches with.
They can be a little bigger, and no problem. I'm going to show you from the right side. We're going to do another,
Another technique.
well, not technique, but another stitching.
All right, so this is going to be we're sewing down one whole side, and the other side we're going to leave about probably 3.5 inches from the top open. So we'll go ahead and do that, and when we're done, we'll come back and show you what we're going to do with the other side. So we've got the side seams of the train sewn down. It's looking really good. So now we're going to see what you're going to do on the other side too.
Okay, before I show you that, on either side, you can choose either side to have the opening of the dress, okay?
Yeah, because in French, the tour doesn't
right,
matter.
you mentioned that, so it doesn't matter. Okay, so I left from this edge of the back of the dress, I left an opening of 2 inches.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
All right.
Now the question is, can she get her little rear end in there? I think she can. Oh yeah.
Yeah, we have
plenty.
all this.
We got plenty of room.
Plenty.
Sure.
Okay, so I'm going to remove these pins. Okay, so we have this,
Like a little flap.
like a little flap. Are you okay with that? Or
Yeah, sure.
You sure?
But
I
I
can-
think
I
it
can
needs, it needs to be tacked down.
Okay, that's what I wanted to show you. Okay,
I mean, it doesn't have to be over sewn, but just a little tack down.
okay, we have the opening there, so we're not going to touch that. I'm going to begin. See where the opening is? Begins. Then that's what you want to do. Begin from there. Okay, I'm gonna put it a little lower. I'm gonna begin from the bottom of the dress.
Yeah, sure. So you're at the bottom of the, or that would be the top of the inside, and then you're going through basically the edge, right to the edge, correct?
Yeah. You don't want the stitches showing either. So a little lower from the edge, just make a stitch.
Well, Bixby's decided that he's not gonna, since just fussing wasn't paying off, he's gonna play all by himself. So we're going to do this on both sides, and then we will come back and show you the technique that we're going to use for the bottom edge of the train. So we'll get this sewn, and you can see how it works, and we'll come back and show you that, because it is a nice little technique. So we're back, and we've gotten that all beautifully sewn down. I have been enjoying the summer fling while Jose was sewing that. And so now we're going to gather this funny little connection here, but there is a method to the madness. So what we're going to do is I think we should show them where we're going with this first, of what really needs to happen with the pieces.
Yeah.
So we're going to gather this.
We're going to gather
piece
this
up.
and just kind of make it follow this line
So
right
do you
here.
see,
Okay.
this is very important to get this to look right, is that you have to match up this point to that half point right there. So we're going to pin it. Perfect.
Okay, that's giving me about 1.5 inches from this point up.
That's where it needs to be.
Yeah.
So
Do a pin there.
Yeah.
I'm going to gather from here to here.
right.
Okay, so I'm going to stick my needle through the bottom. Grab this. You need double thread for this.
Yes, this is some serious.
And since the silk file is very sturdy, you need to make a couple of stitches here to begin with.
Yeah, to get it nice and secure.
Okay, so now what I'm gonna do whip stitches.
On the edge.
Right.
This is a great way to get a lot of
Let me get this
volume in.
out of the way, like so. Okay. You need to pull as you go, okay? Fairly small stitches, maybe like every 1/8 of an inch, probably.
Pull it.
And you start pulling.
Because if you start to pull all of it at one time, you'll break.
You're not gonna go anywhere. The fabric is it will not allow you to do that.
And this is a technique that was used in the 1820s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. You'll see it on many, many gowns. I think a lot of doll costumers don't use this technique, but if you've been playing with some original things, you see this.
Okay, that's my last one. I'm gonna stop there. I'm going to compare.
And the nice thing is you just keep gathering it up until it fits.
My thread just broke. Okay. Yeah, but that's okay.
I think you're there though. So I think it doesn't, you're gonna sew it down, so you'll. Of course, we're using right now antique thread because we're having a thread shortage, but that looks great.
Yeah, you like
So
that?
now the
Okay.
next thing we're gonna do is sew it in place.
Yeah, you don't need to break the thread. Just continue on.
And this has pulled the train into an evenness and is now circular. And this puff, it's creating a puff on the side. This is creating a little floaty, dreamlike. And are you using your favorite needle?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Are we gonna have to take that needle to a sharpener to have it sharpened for you? No?
No, There's no such a thing as
Well, you,
needle
You know,
sharpening until it breaks in half, and that's it.
yeah.
That was
But
the.
we do, there are the pin cushions that will sharpen that. So maybe we can get you one of those. And then when you're mad at me, you can just sit and stab the.
Pinch you.
Yeah, just stab your pin cushion. Of course, you never get mad at me.
You've been giving me bad ideas lately. I try to be good. Okay, there you have.
And that looks gorgeous. Looks absolutely gorgeous. And we'll go through the other side and tie it off once we've kind of made the. But it has to be secured because what if some klutz steps on her train? And it's got to be held in place. So you have to do this on both sides. So we'll go ahead and finish the other side, and then we will be back. So we're back, and we've got the train attachment on the side. It's all done up. It's looking great, and we're happy with that. And that's looking really wonderful. And then Leo has been working on the mini me of Forget Me Not. So he's got his done, the front, and it's looking beautiful, and it's fitting gorgeous onto the resin body. So please don't call me and say it doesn't fit, because it fits like a glove. So if you've made a mistake, it's your fault. So now he's going to go, and we're beating him as far as getting this done, but he's now got to go bind the inside. So he's got his ribbon, and he's going to do that. So we're going to get back to what we need to do next. So we have shown you that we're at a place where we now have to do some serious work, which is we're going to do the ruffle next, correct?
Yep.
Is that what you want to do?
Yeah.
Okay. So the ruffle is how many inches of material?
86 inches by 3.
3.
White.
And it's very interesting. When I figured this all out, and I pleated it, and then I unpleated and I pleated it, and then when Jose went to do the prototype, he looked at me with amazement that I got the measurement correct. So we're going to do that next, and we'll show you how to do that. Just so you know that this, you could, if you wanted to do this hem by hand, you could do it. However, that is not historically correct for this costume. It was originally done with machine sewing, and we had in our collection several Worth gowns that had a similar kind of pleated hems, also sewn by machine. Machine was in common use at the time. So we're gonna take you upstairs, and we're gonna go show you that shortly. So we're back. We went ahead and done some preparation here of the skirt flounce, and it's 86 inches. Is that right?
86 by 3. Yes.
86 by 3. So if you're doing this on your own, you've got to find that fabric. If you're buying our set, you will get that with it, and it will be pre-cut. Although you will have to miter it together. So you have pressed over the hem, and you've done it. That looks like about 1/8 of an inch, correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So it's 1/8 folded over twice, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So it's basically 1/2 an inch, and then you fold it over twice.
Yeah.
So this fabric has been in a roll for about, it's now on a bolt, but it's been in a roll for about, almost 70 years. So it loves to curl, so we've got to kind of uncurl it. but it's a beautiful fabric. And we're going to do two things. We're going to do the hem, and we're also going to put in a
tarlatan hem.
at the top, but we're going to do shortly a very quick and fast basting stitch on the top, because it'll tend to unravel, and it just gets a little annoying. So we're going to use our machine, and we're going to use a setting of 10 stitches per inch, and you're going right to the very edge, correct?
Yes, I am.
And this really should look very uniform. You can see, if you wanted to stop for just a second, you've got the little tiny gorgeous stitches, and Jose's doing it right on the edge, which is what we want. We want it to look like it was done by a treadle machine in 1880.
Yeah, 70s, 80s.
I figured in my math that the little version of this is going to be about 7 inches in length, but we'll figure it out.
Jeez, these pins want to come out.
Okay, so we're going to finish this up, and then we're going to just simply baste the top just to make it easier for us to do what we need to do, and we'll be back. So the train is attached. I'm very happy with this, and I know that Jose's happy with this. We're going to show you how it looks. We put it on Lillian, pinned it. It's looking really, really good. But here's something that I think is very interesting that you all should realize, that when you fit this before you get the train on, the whole ensemble becomes shorter once the train is on and it is pulling the fabric in the right direction. So you really do have to be very careful about what your length of the costume is. But we're very happy with this, and we're preparing the next step, and as soon as we have the next step done, we'll be back to show you. But it's a good time now to look at these pleats and how they're going to be decorative. These are going to be pulled down and tacked so that there's a little hint of the peach color showing. I'm showing it to you now because when we put all the streamers and bows and things on it, it sometimes gets lost. But there it is.